Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This was a Patreon request. A very nice guy named Irby sent a pledge to my Patreon. And for this month, he wanted a review and a commentary for the 1989 film Major League. So I figured I would do the commentary first, then after this you will see a review. Thanks once again, RB. Very kind of you to do so. If anyone ever wants to be a part of my Patreon, the link will be down below in the info box. And here we go. I have a pause at the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. The 1989 film Major League. What can I say about this? 1989, good year for movies in my opinion. I mean, the year of Batman, Lethal Weapon 2, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, Leviathan, which you can see right there, Shocker by Wes Craven. Now we have a song by Randy Newman. Oh, I remember Randy Newman as the guy who sang the theme to the TV show Monk. Oh, it's a jungle out there. But this isn't that song. Now, this is directed by David S. Ward. Now, David S. Ward is the guy who wrote the original The Sting with Robert Redford. And I believe he wrote the sequel as well, The Sting 2. But he was working on a film with Robert Redford, and one thing led to another. Because of working with Robert Redford, who was a big deal at the time, David S. Ward got the opportunity to direct this film. And I think he said one of the reasons he did this was because he knew the Cleveland Indians was never going to win. So let's make a film where they do win. This is the only way they can win. Of course, it does take place in Cleveland. And this is one of those movies that was a surprise hit when it came out. It cost around $11 million. And it made about $50 million. It was one of those surprise hits. And then they did 2 sequels. Major League 2, which David S. Ward also directed. Not a fan. Not a fan of it at all. I hate Major League 2. Maybe I'll get into that later. And then on top of that, Major League Back to the Minors. Again, not really that good of a movie. He also directed Teen Ralph with John Goodman. He directed Down Periscope. I think that was the last film he directed, was Down Periscope with Kelsey Grammer. Of course, we're going to the montage of the Cleveland Indians losing repeatedly. They're in a slump that's lasted for decades. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a baseball fan at all. If I try to watch a baseball game, I am absolutely bored by it. To be honest, I don't watch much sports. I mean, if there was one I was going to watch, it would be basketball because of how fast-paced it is. But I don't watch a lot of sports in general, but I do enjoy quite a few sports movies. Basketball, films like White Men Can't Jump, football, films like Any Given Sunday, even that one called Necessary Roughness. Baseball, a film like this. And I like how it's showing, just giving a feel of the city of Cleveland. And then we have the woman who is the evil owner of the Cleveland Indians, who is, you know, she's a bad guy because she looks like Cruella de Vil. Only in this scene she was carrying a puppy. Her outfit just reminds me of Cruella de Vil. Uppity bitch. Now this actor who's in the scene is recognizable. That is actually a character actor named Charles Cyphers. Charles Cyphers, you may remember as the sheriff in the original Halloween. Now pretty much the story here is that she wants to make a really... So, based on this, she wants to make a bad team. She inherited the team from her husband. She hates this place. She wants to go to Miami. So she can't just do that, but if the attendance falls so low, then they can do it by this thing called an escape clause. And I'm watching this where we're looking random natives of Cleveland saying how it's going to be a crappy year. I always forget this film is rated R. I think that's actually a plus. I don't think Major League 2 was rated R. I think that was PG-13. And that's one of the many reasons why Major League 2 sucked. Here, the humor has a bit more bite to it. Has a bit more... I guess that's the best way to put it. It has that bite to it. That can make quite a few scenes that much funnier. Now this lady villain is played by Margaret Whitten. Margaret Whitten... Actually, I'm not sure what else she's done. But she does a good job playing the stone cold evil queen. Oh, that's too bad. Sadly, she has passed away. She passed away in 2016. May she rest in peace. She was in The Secret of My Success, The Best of Times, Robin Williams, 9.5 Weeks, a film called Ironweed, Little Monsters, that film Birds. Big Girls Don't Cry, They Did Even. I haven't seen that film, but I've seen that trailer like 100 times because it was the trailer in front of Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze VHS tape. Sad to say, I've seen that trailer for that film more than actual films I like. I don't even know if I like that because I only saw the trailer like 100 times. But here we're introducing this group of people that this owner doesn't believe in, thinks she's going to be a crappy team. Now, I guess I'll jump ahead. The alternate ending, where we're going to find out that this lady was not that evil after all. She actually believed in all these people and thought they would be the best for the team. She just acted like a stone cold bitch to invigorate the team and give him someone to fight against. And it was her whole plan all along. But I guess audiences just preferred her to be the more straight-faced bitch, so they cut that part out. That would have been interesting. I mean, I would have been fine if it was kept in. I don't think it... Maybe that's up to you, whether they should have kept it in or not. But I mean, these kind of stories are fun, where you get these outcasts, these underdogs together, to work together, defy the odds, and save the day. Even the train agrees with me. He likes that idea too. Giving me a seal of approval. I love underdog stories. I mean, I'm always a sucker for underdog stories. I think most people are. Whether because we ourselves consider us underdogs, or we like the idea if they can make it, maybe we can make it. We have Tom Berenger, who tried to make it, kind of failed, has a bad knee. Pedro Serrano, played by Dennis Haysbert, from Cuba, whose religion is voodoo. Fuck you, but I do it myself. Dennis Haysbert, I remember from the Allstate commercials. Of course, you got Corbin Bernsen as a rich guy who does not want to get hurt, so he doesn't really want to go in to catch the ball. He's more interested in playing golf than worked his ass off. Then you have Wesley Snipes, who wants to be part of the team. They say no, and then he shows them up because of how fast he is. Willie Mays Hayes. Wesley Snipes, a very early role for Wesley. Very early role. And not the last time he would deal with sports, because after this, of course, he would do films like White Men Can't Jump. Another film I really enjoy. Now, the owner of the team is James Gammon, and I thought he did a wonderful job. He has that rough exterior and his voice, but at the same time, you get the idea he's got a good heart in him, but his gruff persona, but kind of a lovable persona too. And then Charlie Sheen as the bad boy used to be in prison. That's one of the, like I said, variety of reasons why I like this more than the second film. Because the second film, they really made Charlie Sheen's character unlikable. Here, Charlie Sheen is very likable. You know, his haircut, he's a rebel, the way he dresses. It's an underdog, he's trying to do his best. By part two, the character became more, quote, normal and just like cocky and, I'm famous and I'm full of myself because of fame. And for the most part, just again made Charlie Sheen's character very unlikable. And then Wesley Snipes didn't come back for the second film. Instead, you had, I believe, Omar Epps, which I like Omar Epps, but Wesley Snipes, he's no Wesley Snipes. And then these three guys working together. I mean, Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, they worked together on Platoon. But, you know, these characters, again, merging, like talking with each other, hanging out with each other. I haven't seen Major League 2 in a while, but it seemed as if Charlie Sheen was kind of away from the group for most of the movie. Well, here it's all these guys like hanging out with each other. So you got that sense of group chemistry that works for the film. And this is where they're going to get Wesley Snipes and leave him outside. During this, I'm going to talk about at least some trivia from IMDb. So that is not a dead air. Oh, wait a minute. This is the first day of training. The Wesley Snipes, he wakes up. Yep. Shit! I've been cut already? Everyone definitely had that vigor and energy. And here's Wesley Snipes showing how fast he is. And this guy on the left, just his reaction, like he sees Wesley Snipes like, and I'm sorry that I'm laying down, folks. It just, if I'm doing a commentary, it seems like my back will feel better if I'm laying down. I apologize if it looks lazy. Again, for 90 minutes, 2 hours, it just seems to less problems for my back. But I mean, some of the trivia says here, real life relief pitcher Mitch Williams was inspired to model himself after the Rick Vaughn character. He began to wear the number 99 and had Wild Thing played with it entering games, shortly earning the nickname Wild Thing. Many closers started having their own intro songs, and it was largely inspired by this film. Yeah, a lot of baseball players apparently to this day still enjoy this movie. And Wesley Snipes' character can't hit for shit. You may run like mad, but you hit like shit. When you hit the ball to the ground, every time you hit one in the air, I want 20 push-ups. Also, the score works well, too. It's by James Newton Howard, which is definitely a name I recognize when it deals with composers. And apparently Charlie Sheen was really good at pitching. Some would say he could do like 80, 85 miles per hour with his pitching. And this is before Charlie Sheen did the whole stupid tiger blood BS. This is when Charlie Sheen just, hey, he's a good actor. Even his bit parts in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, in Young Guns, beat in films like The Rookie, of course I said Platoon, Wall Street. I like The Arrival. I think James Gammon just really likes to roll as the manager. And Corbin Bernsen, who I remember he was in the Dentist movies, definitely plays that. I don't know if prissy is the right word, but that uptight rich guy fairly well. I just noticed that Kentucky Fried Chicken advertisement in the background. Old school KFC. And Pedro Serrano, he didn't do straightforward, but if you change it up a bit, he can't hit him. And yeah, this coming up is a bit of juvenile humor, but done appropriately by sound effects. This is where he James Gammon pisses on Corbin Bernsen's contract. I think it's mainly the sound effects and just the reaction makes it funny. See, nowadays you would actually see it, but you didn't have to see it because we have this thing called imagination. That's the thing with comedies nowadays. I mean, I get that you want to be shocking, you want to be vulgar, but it's almost as you leading people by the hand, rubbing it in their faces, and not thinking your audience has any brain cells to figure shit out. As I won't shove this in your face and it's going to be so vulgar, you have to laugh. But they forget about wit and they forget about characters, they forget about chemistry. Let's see, another bit of trivia. During the 2016 baseball season, real-life Cleveland Indian players Jason and Mike acquired 2 Jobu statues. Speaking of which, the Jobu set them up in a shrine in the team's locker room at Progressive Field. They initially placed an offer to vodka on it, but then switched to rum, resulting in a 6-0 victory over the Tampa Bay Rays in June. In July, they even sacrificed a supermarket chicken to help end teammate Yan Gomes' slump. They are sick. I can no hit curveball. Bats are afraid. I want to take the field from bats. See, that's why a sequel didn't make sense, because they overcame the odds and they won and they got over their slump. So then to see them go right back to a slump again, it just doesn't make it appealing story-wise. So then you have to make it appeal character-wise, and it didn't with Major League 2. By making Wesley Snipes wasn't in the film, then someone else played him. Making Charlie Sheen's character unlikable. And Dennis Haysbert is an underrated actor. Sadly, he's done smaller roles. I mean, he was the senator that became the president on the TV show 24. He was in a film called Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood. And we have our characters trying to do their best. Whether catching the ball, hitting the ball, pitching the ball. I think this is where he takes the head off. Pitch the head right off the foot dictum. And this is one of those things where they're looking for the red ticket. If they get a red ticket, a red flag, then that means they got cut. But the actors, you tell, they were just so game for it. I mean, even on the DVD, there's interviews with pretty much everyone but Wesley Snipes. I don't know why Wesley Snipes didn't want to talk about it. Who knows? But everyone else seemed very proud of the movie. I think also with why I can watch baseball in a movie and not the actual game is that with the movie, it's edited to the biggest or most important parts. It's like if you took a movie, say it's a boring movie, but you take all the best parts, edit to a 2-minute trailer, then maybe that could be interesting or exciting. That's why with the R rating, you could say shit or fuck, or like Wesley Snipes gave the guy the middle finger who's talking shit to him. Yeah, in the sequel, the success of last season had changed the attitudes of the Indians. Charlie Sheen's character became a media sensation, is more concerned about his public image than his pitching. Pedro Serrano becomes a Buddhist. He's more carefree and less angry. Yeah, that's right. Hey, we like that character. Let's change him. I forgot the character Willie Mays Hayes tried to become a Hollywood actor. And then Roger Dorn, Corbin Bernsen's character, bought the team. And the sequel, it cost $25 million and only made like $30 million, so it was not a hit. Because it just wasn't as funny. It was toned down from the rating. You change all the characters, which was a stupid way to deal with the story. It's like, here's the characters we like. Now they're all changed. And then maybe by the third act, they get to the people we liked in the first place. And I don't understand that kind of writing. Like the Police Academy films, the first 4 worked because those characters were consistent. And we were fun to go back and revisit them. I guess apparently there was going to be a Major League 3 announced in 2010. It was going to have Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, Tom Berenger. Charlie Sheen's character would come out of retirement to work with a young player. but it never happened. In 2017, Morgan Freeman announced plans to reboot the film, following the success of the Exorcist TV series. The studio also wanted to do stuff with Young Guns and Ace Ventura, but nothing came of it. And of course, there was Major League 3 Back to the Minors, which had Scott Bakula. Here we have Charlie Sheen fighting with Corbin Bernsen because, well, either you've seen the film or you're watching along with me, so I don't need to describe what's happened on screen. I'm wondering like how many people watching are big fans of baseball, and if so, A, what makes you a fan of baseball? B, what baseball films do you like? And C, what do you think about this in the realm of baseball movies? Now, James Newton Howard, who did the score, he has worked on quite a few movies. The Fugitive, Pretty Woman, The Devil's Advocate. He collaborated with Hans Zimmer in the Dark Knight films. A lot of M. Night Shyamalan films. Yeah, I would say Unbreakable is one of my favorite scores he's done. James Newton Howard. I think he also did one for a Sam Jackson film called Freedom Land, which I really enjoyed that score. The Fugitive, that's a good score too. But it's moments like this that make the movie a little bit endearing too, where it's not just the humor, but the dreams that these guys have. The dream that he makes the big win with the home run and the crowd cheering, but he's visualizing that in this empty arena. I'm sure that's a dream that a lot of people had, no matter what sport they're in. And sadly, not everyone's going to have that dream succeed. But I guess it's the drive to try. I mean, for the most part, you're seeing like all these characters interact with each other, which is nice. Like Wesley and Charlie and Tom Berenger, even while they're having dinner here. Looking at some more trivia, Charlie Sheen was a high school pitcher who was offered a baseball scholarship to the University of Kansas. In the movie, he threw a 101 mile per hour fastball, but in reality, Sheen only could throw in the high 80s. This made it easier to simulate the fastball on film. Charlie Sheen admitted to Sports Illustrated that he took steroids to prepare for his role. He believed the steroids he took caused him to increase his fastball to 85 miles per hour. Well, it's not the worst thing he took. Fans pushed to have Charlie Sheen appear in his Rick Wilding Vaughn persona to throw out a ceremonial first pitch at the 2016 World Series game played in Cleveland. Sheen said he was receptive, but Major League Baseball and the Indians had already decided on others to do it. They probably didn't want to deal with his crazy ass, too. That's the sad thing about Charlie Sheen. I liked him as an actor, but him going off the deep end and all these drugs, and then didn't he infect women with AIDS or something? I don't know the whole story on that, but that seems really just inhuman to do. Unless he was just so stupid he didn't realize it. So he's either really stupid or even worse. And yeah, I don't know if that's true. That's just stuff I've heard. But it's like, oh man, I liked him as an actor, and it sucks. But I don't know how you guys feel about Charlie Sheen nowadays. Of course, we got Rene Russo. Rene Russo, this is before her role, and I think after this she would, funny enough, worked with Emilio Estevez in Free Jack. Her big break would be in Lethal Weapon 3. That she was in The Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood. Ransom with Mel Gibson. I like Rene Russo. I think she's a good actress. Even in this supporting role. I mean, it's not a big role, it's not a vital role. If there's something I would term the least interesting part of the movie, it's the romance between Tom Berenger and Rene Russo. Not that it's bad, it's not bad, it's just I enjoy this stuff more. Where you have the crazy ass Serrano just fucking shaving with a big old Crocodile Dundee type of knife. Like, these characters try and do their best to get better. The Rachel Phelps character, that's the owner, and her plan to move the Indians was inspired by real-life Minnesota Twins owner Calvin Griffith. In the 70s, during the planning stages of constructing the Metrodome Stadium, Griffith had negotiated for an escape clause in the team's lease, which said that if the Twins' home attendance was under 1.4 million per season for 3 years straight, the team could be released from his contract and leave Minnesota. Like the Phelps character, Griffiths let quality players depart via free agency and used cheap, inexperienced rookies and has-beens. The Twins lost 102 games in their first year, 92 games the year after, attendance under 900,000 each of those seasons. A group of investors from Tampa bought 42% of the team, and the Twins were on the verge of moving to Florida. To many fans, it appeared that Griffith had weaseled the escape clause into the contract and set up the roster so he could put it into practice. The situation was avoided when Griffith sold the Twins to banker Carl Pohlad. The Tampa group sold its minority stock to Pohlad, and the Twins remained in Minneapolis. I have to wake up the bats. Most of the filming was done during the summer of 1988, which was one of the hottest summers on record in Milwaukee. This is easily apparent in the final playoff game, where most of the players are wearing long sleeves and jackets to indicate a cool fall night, whereas almost all the fans in the stands are wearing short sleeve shirts and shorts. And Bob Uecker, who spent his time in baseball and spent a lot of time calling baseball games. And that's the thing, you hire a guy who is actually part of the business, knows what to do, knows how it's supposed to be done. So it just comes off much more sincere, much more professional, and at times much more funny. Like Richard Dawson being the host of a game show and the running man. It's like, hey, I know how to do this, man. Now let me play with it. Bob Uecker does the same thing with this. when he's calling these games. And yeah, these people in the fans, these fans in the stands. Nice catch, man. Don't ever fucking do it again. I always forget this is an R-rated film, and then they pussy it out in the sequels. I have no idea why. No idea why. Well, because they assume that PG-13 equals bigger box office, and granted, that's because if you look at the top 20 biggest films of all time, most of them are rated PG or G or PG-13. But a good movie is a good movie. Well, there have been good movies that flopped, but I mean, you look at also Deadpool films and Logan and Joker. If people like the film, and enough people do it, they'll go see it. Just sometimes good ones fall through the cracks. And Wesley Snipes, you fucked up. And they fall like bowling pins. Also, if people are into baseball, I would like to know, what is the worst team in baseball? And what has been the worst team in the history of baseball? For anyone who is really into baseball, you can let me know. But I'd be curious to hear. I apologize. I'm trying to do my best with the commentaries. Just a bit outside. Apparently that's been used a lot. Like a lot of times in the future, people would use that term and even that voice clip to put in the games. To definitely stick it to what's happening on the field. I do like the Wild Thing song. I think I'm hesitating only because I'm thinking, just remembered sadly, the fucking Randy Quaid character, Major League 2, who was so annoying in that. As the fan, they would just always talk shit upon shit in the crowds, and I didn't remember Randy Quaid being so fucking annoying. Oh, and the fans in the stands, it's about as many as at a wrestling stadium nowadays. And you swing batter. Oh, no, you're not supposed to hit him. You fucked up, man. This is Charlie Sheen on a typical day. Just being pissed off. You kiss my ass, man. Kiss my grits. Fuck you and your cum catcher mustache. Yeah, suck my dick, pussy. See, this is Charlie Sheen after a night of filming 2.5 Men. Just going on being pissed off, smashing light bulbs. We had some Miller Lite product placement there. Miller Lite. Never been much of a beer drinker. So for those is Miller Lite worth the shit? Or is it like Coors? Wow, phones, actual pay phones. Actually, rotary phones where you do 5, 4, 5. Fuck, you don't see those kind of phones anymore. I mean, for better, because your cell phones, you take them anywhere. But, I mean, for worse, because, if your cell phone dies out, something happens to your cell phone, because there's no other phones around, then you're kind of stuck. But at least if something was there for emergency, you pick it up, blah, 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 blah. So I think they should have still kept those phones around. Think of it as like a plan B emergency for places, because you never know. You don't even need the rotary, just the buttons things. But I mean, again, I said Tom Berenger, Rene Russo they do a good job in these scenes. They work well together. Again, just for me, I would say it's the least interesting part of the film. But again, not bad or anything. Oh, that 80s hair. Beautiful 80s hair on Rene Russo. With the big Coke bottle glasses. Working at a library. I wonder if libraries would be this busy today with all these people in it. Can't remember last time I've been in a library. Like, this library is busy as fuck. Look at all these people in there. Maybe nowadays it's empty. Fucking everybody in this library. Shit, like everywhere you turn. It's like 100 people in this library. Holy shit. Is libraries that busy? Maybe if there's a swimming pool right next to it. And Tom Berenger is another one of those actors that, I mean, he's a good actor. His most famous film, I would say, is Platoon. Also, The Substitute was a good flick. Sniper. And he's been in quite a few of the Sniper movies, actually. He was in The Big Chill, Eddie and the Cruisers, Shoot to Kill. That's a solid one. He was in Born on the 4th of July? I don't remember that, but I haven't seen that film in like forever. But yeah, I like Sniper, I like The Substitute. Other movies, I mean, Turbulence 2, Fear of Flying. Detox, ATICU. Tom Berenger was in Inception? I completely forgot about that. And he was the warden at the beginning of Faster. I remember that now. Just like, this is a good actor. He's in this film like, blink and you miss it? What the hell? This fucking guy here, this goober with his like wannabe mohawk cut. Kind of ironic when Charlie Sheen says, "I thought you had to be good at something to be a celebrity," considering he became famous for his outbursts and tiger blood bullshit. Yeah, and you're really at the montage of just them playing the bad games. I mean, yeah, I'd go through the bad in order to get the good. Tom Berenger reading the comic book Moby Dick. I forgot about that. Former Major League catcher Stevie Aders served as a coach for the actors in training for the movie, also serving as a stunt double for Tom Berenger in many scenes when Jay Taylor would make a throw from home plate or be in a home plate collision, as well as play third base coach Temple. According to David S. Ward, Wesley Snipes was not a very skilled baseball player in real life, never having played much of it before this. He said Snipes was so awful at throwing a baseball that they did not have any scenes of him throwing a ball. That's true, you don't have any scenes of him throwing a ball. So I'm looking to see if there's any more in the trivia that's a bit interesting. Jake is reading a copy of Moby Dick with the banner of fake publisher Classic Comics. Later on the team bus, he's reading comic copies of The Deerslayer, Song of Hiawatha, and Crime and Punishment with the real Classics Illustrated banner. Huh. I like one of those old school comics that's as big as a magazine, like one of those old school ones. A scene featuring the wedding of Tom Berenger and Rene Russo's characters was shot and was to occur after the victory at the end of the movie. It was deleted because the producers felt that the wedding scene would put the focus on the movie on the two of them and not the team. I do understand that. I just understand that thinking. But yeah, I mean, the director, I do think this is easily his best film. Major League 2, I've already said I'm not a big fan of that movie. Like I said, I didn't think it was as funny, wasn't as hard-hitting in the humor, the toned-down rating, the change of the characters. I thought it was a piss-poor story to tell. And then you have Major League 3, Back to the Minors, which, to be fair, I have not seen. Just bits and pieces of. I know Corbin Bernsen came back as Roger Dorn. Pedro Serrano, Dennis Haysbert came back. Bob Uecker. It was kind of depressing because after being on a big team like that, actually I'm trying to think what the hell Pedro Serrano, was he on the AAA team? Like the minor leagues? Does that'd be depressing if Serrano went from the big team all the way back to the minors along with these other guys. But yeah, Scott Bakula was the star of it. Directed by some guy named John Warren, whoever the hell that is. And somehow cost $18 million. more than this movie. I don't know how the hell that works. If you're wondering, that third film came out in 1998. Second film came out in 1994. That's another thing. 5 years after this one, you make a sequel that no one was really dying for, even though they liked the first one? As for other films, the guy directed, David S. Ward. He did Teen Ralph, which I barely remember, with John Goodman. Down Periscope, I remember being a time waster. A decent time waster. And these uppity type parties that everyone's a snooty snob. Since the 80s, I'm wondering where the cocaine is. The cocainum. Where's the cocaine? Is it in her titties? Well, under her titties, not in her titties. If it was in her titties, that'd be like a David Cronenberg movie. You open up the nipple like you open up a pot, and then the cocaine would be in there, rubber boating, motorboating it while sniffing the cocaine, and then you put the titty nipple back up and screw it like a bottle cap. I forgot Tom Berenger said that. The guy with Rene Russo trying to talk nice, and Tom Berenger's like, suck my dick. I completely forgot about that. This is where we find out that the big problem is Charlie Sheen's vision. Sorry about that. I wonder if this was a common thing back then, where people didn't realize that they couldn't see until much later in life. Maybe it was like people who are dyslexic, and they don't realize until much later. I'm looking at the glasses, it's just these red Spanish teacher glasses. But I mean, I've talked about the actors. Like I said, Tom Berenger, definitely think his best ones would be along the lines of Sniper, to substitute this one, Platoon. Charlie Sheen, my favorites would be The Arrival, The Rookie, Young Guns, this movie. I liked Terminal Velocity. Wesley Snipes after this, White Men Can't Jump, I'm a big fan of. Passenger 57 I like. Blade 2. Demolition Man's probably my favorite film he's been in. Love Demolition Man. Always drank Jobu's rum. You don't get fucked up. You don't fuck with Jobu. That's what you get. Battle of Jobu. Excuse me for that. I mean, the thing, like I was mentioning with comedies back in the day, is that it's not really the R rating, because there's a lot of comedies that are R rated, but it seems like the crutch with R rated comedies today is the fact of, well, we're R rated, and because we're R rated, we have to make it so vulgar, juvenile, with either piss jokes, fart jokes, dick jokes, showing a dick, hearing a queef, hearing and seeing 50 other bodily functions, chutting from asses. It's like, well, we're R-rated, so we have to do that. And you don't. Films like this, White Men Can't Jump, they were R-rated for the language, but they were being, despite its silly antics, it was being a real movie as well. Like, this is a real movie. You have silly stuff like the Pedro Serrano, the voodoo, things of that nature, but these actors play it off real. You know, and there's reasons for these characters to be doing what they're doing. And they talk naturally. Now, it just so happens it becomes R-rated, but I'm sure there's a thing the catcher does with a lot of players, fuck with a player's head, so he hits all piss poorly in order to catch it. But yeah, 1989, I mean, like I was saying, it was a year for a lot of good movies. I mean, I already mentioned the summer, you had Batman, Lethal Weapon 2, Ghostbusters 2, Indiana Jones The Last Crusade. They said you had Shocker with Wes Craven, Leviathan. You know, this movie, Major League. Corbin Bernsen. Just, again, another guy that plays his characters so well as this. I don't know if pompous and prissy are the right words, but this guy that doesn't want to hurt himself, that just cares about his looks and his money and his contract, does these investments, has these portfolios, and doesn't want to get his hands dirty. Doesn't want to die for stuff. And Corbin Bernsen, you know, to play this type of character, and then you see a film like The Dentist. If you've never seen The Dentist, I definitely suggest you check it out. Number one, it's cringy in a good way, especially with the scenes with the teeth and the drill just obliterating teeth. It's a horror film. Make your teeth hurt. But Corbin Bernsen does a wonderful job in those movies as well. See, with an R rating, you could have that biting dialogue of, if you play like that tomorrow, I'll cut your nuts off and stuff it down your fucking throat. See, it's like with everything. Cursing is a tool. It could be used the right way, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, film like this, or it could be used the wrong way. Rob Zombie movies, for example. It's like CGI, it's like effects, it's like anything. It's a tool. Use it the right way, it can work gangbusters. And I give, even though I'm not much into sports, I give credit to anyone who is in the sports field, because of the toil they take on their body in any sport. whether it be football, basketball, baseball. The toil, I mean, to have to play that many in 1 year, and with football, the impact that you get from time to time and the stamina you would have to endure. Same with basketball, the endurance of having to go that long running up and down and the courts. Even in baseball, like I said, I give credit to anyone who is in those type of sports. Because I'm sure there's many times that you want to just quit and give up and just can't do it anymore, but you have to, and it just better people than me, I'll say that. Just everyone flipped her off behind her back. And it's hard to do a commentary on a comedy because it's just to the point of how many times can you repeat it's funny. Why do you think it's funny? Because the characters play off their roles well, the acting's good, their characters seem believable, even if they seem a bit silly. They have good chemistry with each other. They seem like they enjoyed making the film. And I thought this was kind of the right choice where, for the most part, it only concentrates on the game, the camaraderie between these guys, and the training. The only time it gets to any personal drama is this bits with Tom Berenger, Rene Russo. And maybe that's another thing. If it went to every character and their home life, which they kind of try to do in Major League 2, it kind of sucks a bit of the fun out of it. I know I keep harping on Major League 2. Because I think when you hate a film, then you're just constantly bitching about it. But when you like a film, it's hard. Like, well, how many times do you talk about how much you love it? But I'm trying to think of, like, okay, other baseball movies. Actually, before that, I'm trying to think, what was the last big budget, well, this wasn't a big budget, but theatrical sports film? I mean, I think Ben Affleck is doing something that deals with basketball that comes out this year. And throughout the years, you've had various stuff. You've had Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. I was talking about baseball movies. You had Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck. Which Tom Selleck played overseas. I think it was like in Tokyo. I haven't seen Mr. Baseball in forever. And I mean forever. You have Moneyball with Brad Pitt. The Benchwarmers. Believe it or not, there is a Benchwarmers 2. I just found that out recently. I don't know why, but yes, there is a Benchwarmers 2. I don't know why there's a Benchwarmers 2, but there is. It's like there's a Bulletproof 2. I kid you not, there's that Adam Sandler, Damon Wayans film, there is a sequel to it called Bulletproof 2. Neither of them are in it. And the Damon Wayans role is, I think, Faison Love? Just don't get it. But as the scene's playing out between the Tom Berenger, Rene Russo, look at some baseball movies. Of course, Field of Dreams is a good one. Graham is a sucker for it because it takes place in Iowa. But I thought it was a nice, touching, heartfelt story. A little bit magical. I thought Kevin Costner did a good job. Of course, The Sandlot, A League of Their Own. But let's see, there's a movie called Henry and Me. Looks like an anime film from 2014 with the voices of Richard Gere, Chaz Palminteri, Danny Aiello, and Luis Guzman. Never even heard of that movie. 61. A film Billy Crystal actually directed. About the summer of 1961. Starring Thomas Jane, Barry Pepper, Anthony Michael Hall. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I mentioned The Sandlot. Cobb. That's one I've heard of with Tommy Lee Jones playing Ty Cobb. Apparently that's one of the reasons why Tommy Lee Jones hated working with Jim Carrey on Batman Forever, because, at least the way Jim Carrey describes it, Cobb came out around the same time as, I think, Ace Ventura Pet Detective, one of the Jim Carrey movies, and Jim Carrey's film beat the hell out of it. And I think that was a film Tommy Lee Jones was really hyped for. Fever Pitch, the Jimmy Fallon Drew Barrymore comedy by the Farrelly brothers. A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks. Major League, which gets an 83% Rotten Tomatoes. I am surprised and shocked. Maybe predictable and formulaic, but buoyed by the strip's light, silly humor and the well-built sports action sequences and funny performances. It serves as a satisfying time at the movies. Yeah. Light, silly humor, well-built sports action sequences, funny performances. I agree with that. 42. That's the film with Chadwick Boseman and Harrison Ford. I've heard of that one. The Rookie. That's a different one than the Charlie Sheen one. That's the one with Dennis Quaid, which I haven't heard of. I mean, I've heard it, but I haven't seen. 8 Men Out, I've heard of, but I haven't seen. That has John Cusack, Charlie Sheen, Christopher Lloyd, directed by John Sayles. In which the 1990 World Series were fixed and what happened because of that. The Bad News Bears, of course, the original and the remake. Bull Durham, which I remember having fun with Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins. But yeah, I mean, if we were talking about worst baseball films, at least the ones I've seen, it might be Major League 2. Mystery 3000, I vaguely remember with Bernie Mac. Summer Catch with Freddie Prinze Jr., I haven't seen. Rookie of the Year, kids film. Little Big League, haven't seen that one. The Babe with John Goodman as Babe Ruth. Oh, of course. I knew there was something bugging me. The Fan. I mean, that's about baseball. The Fan with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro. Granted, baseball is a big part of it, but Robert De Niro is a big baseball fan who's obsessed to the hilt, especially for his favorite player played by Wesley Snipes. So, Wesley Snipes would return once again to the baseball field with The Fan, directed by Tony Scott. That's a film I enjoy. Doesn't get talked about a lot, but that's a good solid flick, The Fan. I know it doesn't seem like I've been laughing a lot throughout this comedy, but one, because I've been talking over it, and two, I've been sort of just concentrating on that. But three, kind of watching a comedy, I think there's only going to be those select few that will make you laugh still by the time you've seen it for the 10th time. But you just get sort of this fond memory of enjoying that scene or enjoying the characters. And you do get chuckles. Of course, unveiling the bitch, the queen, ice cold queen bitch. I always thought this was a cool idea. Anytime they win, they don't take a piece of this clothing from this standee off. Yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun idea. Give them the motivation to be better. I thought the score works well in this film, especially in this scene in particular. Yeah, James Newton Howard did a wonderful job on this piece of the music. I would say of the score, this is my favorite piece of the score. Is this and the bit at the very end when Tom Berenger's running in slow motion or on the basis, which I'll talk about when it comes up. But in a way, I mean, this is a montage of their wins. I love montages. I hate Team America World Police for various reasons. One of them being how they made so much fun of the montages. People like, oh, we can't do this. It'll look as cheesy, as corny, as silly, as laughable. When it's a great tool where you have to say something quick, but you do it in an energetic way, kind of what you would do in a music video. Or what you would do in a tribute, what you would do in various other formats. And this is something you could see even today, the teams doing a commercial like this. And just how these characters are just trying to act in front of the camera. Like, these are good actors, but they have to pretend to be bad actors. Especially Corbin Bernsen. It's a nice slide by Wesley. And a fun American Express card ad. Which, I mean, that would happen in real life. They would have people like that doing it. I mean, just look at the Super Bowl commercials. Funny enough, Wesley Snipes was in a Super Bowl commercial with the Planters Peanuts. It was like a two-parter, and the first part, Mr. Peanut died, and the second part, there was a funeral with Wesley Snipes. The Kool-Aid Man was there, Mr. Clean, and then Mr. Peanut from the Planters was reborn. Tom Berenger's teared her with his knees. And also, for those out there watching, I don't know who would be watching this far, since I'm being pretty damn boring. I do apologize to Irby and others. I do apologize. I'll try to get better with the commentaries. But if you like sports movies, what's your favorite type? Is it football? Basketball? Did that guy just say cowabunga? Oh, man. Of course, you know what I think of whenever I hear that word, cowabunga. I wonder if you could get away with that for PG-13. The naked woman, but the titties are coated by the stars. But when it's rated R, you could do stuff like that and not worry about it. Hell, I'm trying to think of what films nowadays, even R-rated films, show nudity. Like titties and such. What R-rated films do that now? Because now it's like, oh, that's too sexist. Or... No, it's not. It's... When you see R-rated action films, you want your blood, you want your bullets, and you want your titties. What's wrong with that? With a comedy, hell, there were films back in the day that were rated PG, but you had nudity and titties on it. Nowadays, with the PC police, but even with that, with the, like I was talking with comedies, just how, again, they think being as gross as possible automatically equals laughs. That no one thinks about doing stuff with character and wit. It's either so silly and stupid and moronic that you see in a direct-to-video film like The Benchwarmers, let alone Benchwarmers 2 or some other shit with Rob Schneider or something else. Or again, we gotta be so outrageous with our grossness that will automatically, oh, we're gonna make them laugh. Just, oh, I can't believe they did that. It's just, to me, it's lazy. Just comes off as fucking lazy to me. Maybe that's just me. Because again, I'm like, you know what? There's a better way to write it. There's a better way to script it. Utilize your characters more. Now we have Charlie Sheen and this woman in red. Unbeknownst to him, Corbin Bernsen's wife. Because Corbin Bernsen's wife saw Corbin Bernsen messing around with another woman, so this is her little revenge thing. I wonder if they would even do this today, because they would think, oh, well, a woman would never do that. A woman would never do that. That is sexist against women, and that is cruel, and how dare they portray a woman of this nature? When it's not about that, it's just about the characters. People tend to forget that. So you have a funny reaction like that, like... This honest reactions to, like, Tom Berenger and Charlie Sheen. I didn't know who she was. I swear to God. That's what I mean, like, you did, if you play the characters real enough, you do know a little bit outlandish, like Serrano, okay, he could be an outlandish character to the point that he wants to sacrifice a live chicken, and then, I remember now, someone's going to give him like a bucket of chicken. Yeah, here it is. KFC, product placement. Do they? I haven't had KFC in a while. They don't have buckets like that, do they? Where they have the Colonel's face on it, do they? Like the actual Colonel's face and that old school logo. And it's been a long time since I've been to a KFC, and I remember the chicken not looking that good. Of course, it's a movie, so it's got to look pristine and perfect. It's like when you get a sandwich in a movie, it looks pristine and perfect, but in real life, it's like the scene in Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Why does it look like the picture up there? I made that stupid joke earlier in the film about the stands at the beginning looking like a wrestling event. For those who didn't even understand what that was talking about, if you look at wrestling nowadays, whether it be WWE or AEW, there's a lot of pictures people will take where the stands seem empty. A lot of empty parts to it, especially AEW, which is the wrestling program now on TNT. But, that's another discussion for another day. Now here, it's not to win the World Series, it's to win I believe the division. I kind of wonder why they went that route and not the World Series. Like, why did they go that route? Because even Major League 2, isn't it they won the division but they lost in the World Series? So it's kind of like, really? And after this, it's like, okay, they won the division, but we don't know if they're going to win the World Series. So, I'm kind of curious as to what that decision was based on. Is it because, this is how stupid I am with baseball, because you have to play multiple, a series of games for the World Series? I'm probably not. I'm getting mixed up with the NBA Finals. But again, why isn't this just the World Series? But these actors did a good job making it feel as if they're on a baseball team. And you tell the director is a big fan of the sport, but the type of shots that shows, the flow of it, the editing. A great catch by Wesley Snipes. Yeah, also imagine this is before CGI. And nowadays they could just CGI a baseball to go, whatever. So if a person has to go catch it, they don't have to physically catch it. They could just jump up and they'll just CGI a baseball right into the glove. But here, no. You actually had to have these characters actually catch it themselves and throw it themselves. Maybe there's some camera tricks you could do, but there's Tom Berenger with his hurt knees again. But again, they give little defaults for each of the characters to overcome. Again, like Wesley Snipes' character, he wasn't much of a hitter, but he's a better runner. Charlie Sheen's character with the eyesight. Tom Berenger with his knees. Ooh, Roger Dorn doing a good job running the bases. Nice solid hit. Yeah, Dennis Haysbert. He must have really liked the character because he did come back for, I think, all 3 movies. And he probably the character he's most famous for. Well, now he's probably most famous for those Allstate commercials. Because he got that great voice. I always wish we could have seen more of Serrano. as this Serrano, not the fucking Buddhist in Major League 2, but like this Serrano. This is probably one of my favorite parts of this film. Pissed off now, Jobu. Good to you. It's enough for you. If you don't help me now, then I say fuck you, Jobu. I do myself. Just that type of dialogue, the idea, but he delivered it hook, line, and sinker. I say fuck you, Jobu. I do it myself. It just, you just, But maybe that's the thing, is that you don't overplay the character. You come in for those little moments, and each moment is memorable and special. So maybe that was on purpose. And pretty damn entertaining. I just imagine, like, you're making this kind of movie, like, getting all these people in the crowds. Like, how long is filming? And you have to keep all these people happy in these crowds. So they could cheer, they could do this, do that. Like, do they get like $1 for the day? Do you feed them? Like, what do you do with these crowds? Because it's not like, okay, they're going to be shot in 15 minutes. I mean, this finale goes on for a little while. So, again, you're going, fuck. How do you keep all these people in a crowd at bay? I try to remember, was it this one or the second film? I think it was the second film where, yeah, it was the second film where James Gammon's character had a heart attack. I believe it was? Yeah, I believe it was. I don't think they killed the character off, but he had a heart attack, and that's another thing I didn't like. So you didn't need to put that in it. This is a completely different movie I'm thinking of. And James Gammon just has that gruff attitude that makes it perfect for a baseball manager. Just a great idea for using this song for this intro of this character. Not an intro of the character, but introing him into this this game. You made everything groovy. And yeah, apparently after this, a lot of baseball pitchers and other stuff had their own little intro songs as well. Interesting enough. Which I guess, why not? Kind of like how wrestlers had their intro songs. And that's the thing, like, in this one, the character's an underdog and you want him to succeed, and then in the sequel you made him a cocky, pretentious, full of himself asshole. If you don't do that, you have to handle it well. Rocky 3 handled it well because he didn't come off as pretentious. He was still that lovable guy, but he just got too ahead of himself. But with Charlie Sheen's Terror Major League 2, it just came off as, keep using the word unlikable. Again, people just delivered the dialogue very well in this movie. Even this with Corbin Bernsen and this tension that you slept with my wife. But it's all about the game. And he's like, strike this fucker out. Here we go. This motherfucker out. Again, that's how you utilize coarse language the right way to make an exclamation point on the scene or exclamation point during the conversation. Again, like it's that with everything, it could be an art form. You think about with baseball, I'd be fascinated to learn more about baseball as a history and conversation. Maybe not so much actually watching it other than a movie or a documentary. Of course, I'm always fascinated with documentaries. I'm sorry I'm pausing because I'm trying to figure out like what else I could talk about as we're in this sort of mano-a-mano between Charlie Sheen and this other guy, of the Yankees, their characters. Let me see if I can find any interesting info for you guys. Also, there's a good usage of slow motion in this shot. Because at times, some people could over-abuse the slow motion asset. But I've said that with other stuff. It's a tool that you have to utilize very well. John Woo utilizes that very well. Here, to show that the ball really does hit the mitt and how close it was. And the great strikeout of the year. This is 7.2 on IMDb. That's pretty damn good for IMDb. Oh, you fucking cocksucker. Caught that fucking ball. Fuck you. That'd be a different way of playing the game or making a movie on the game. I guess there have been movies that have kind of done that. A little bit of Bad News Bears. It sounds stupid. I kind of would like to see an Alien. Not the movie Aliens, but like a sci-fi baseball movie. Like you have all these animatronic, well done looking creatures and they're playing baseball, so they're utilizing their tendrils or their other stuff to play. Like imagine Major League with the underdogs, but it's, each one's like a different alien race. Maybe a human or two in there. And play it straight like this. Not fucking fart jokes and dick jokes, but this type of R-rated humor where it's actually witty and funny and based on character. You have like an alien speaking a language, and then boom, the side tile is like, you motherfuckers. And like the picture's like an octopus, so when one tendril is tired, the next tentacle does it. Uses tentacles to fucking flip people off. Like, if you don't do coarse language, you don't go that far with the humor. Yeah, fuck you, pitcher. Stop trying to strike out Blade. You cocksucker. Go back to chewing on that fucking bubble gum from the pouch. Major League Chulies, or whatever the fuck it was called. Again, usage of slow-mo to show how close stealing these bases are. Again, another tool utilized very well in this movie. Not just so it's not just the humor that works well, but good directing, good cast. Music fits the film very well. It doesn't seem out of the blue or arbitrary or out of place. Like, we gotta put all these songs in just to sell a soundtrack. Which, hell, some of them are fun, but sometimes it could be a hindrance. Yeah, even though this is a Cleveland Indians game, a lot of this was shot in Milwaukee. And Bob Uecker, the guy who does the announcing, he improvised a lot of the lines. And just let them go. Wesley Snipes, at this point, he had been in the music video Bad with Michael Jackson. Spike Lee offered him a part and Do the Right Thing, but it was a minor part. He said no to take the bigger part in Major League. Oh, that scene we saw earlier with Dennis Haysbert, who hit the home run. He actually did hit the home run. He said every home run I was supposed to hit, I hit out. And everyone stopped and applauded, says the director. That's pretty damn good. Oh, this is the part I was talking about with the music, where he does the bunt and the sort of softer music with Tom Berenger, and then his hat will fly off. I think this is my second favorite piece of music from the movie. Not too over the top, not too over dramatic, but fits it very well. That he's running as fast as he can despite his bad knees, and he does make it. In order for Willie Mays to steal the base with a great slide, nice usage. I just imagine like how many times they did that, so they made you'd actually see the other player try and just barely miss Wesley Snipes' character. And just a really uplifting ending with the music and everyone being so excited. I guess a lot of these scenes and the finale with that female character, they reshot. Like once the Rachel Phelps character by Margaret Whitten, once they changed it, they went back and probably shot a couple. Yeah, they were forced to reshoot parts of the final Yankee sequence. Footage of Phelps cheering on the Indians was hastily replaced with new clips that showed her sneering, cussing, and criticizing Vaughn's entry music. The Wild Thing. So I think it would have been fine if you kept it that way. I would not have had a problem. See, the thing with the Rene Russo, Tom Berenger, I had almost, like, by this point, I had pretty much forgotten about that. So again, it's fine, but that's what I mean. It's sort of like it's there, whatever part of the movie. Just, seriously, by this point, I had already forgotten about that whole thing. It's not bad. I like both actors. It's like, okay. I thought this was a really nice shot where they got everyone in there. Yeah, Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Dennis Haysbert, Wesley Snipes, Roger Dorn. Really cool freeze frame shot with their victory. And nice music to end the movie on. Nice musical score. It's a feel-good movie. Feel-good movie of the underdogs rising above and winning the day. And you could say it's cliche, predictable. I forgot about this song. But you know what? It's like a cookie. You know what a cookie's gonna taste like, but you still like the cookie and you still eat the cookie and still be happy with the cookie. You know, oh, Ted White was a stuntman. Ted White, the guy who played Jason in Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. I'll stick through the end credits. It's the least I can do. Thank you yet again to Irby, the Patreon member, who requested this for, and also there will be a review after this. I apologize if it's that lame of commentary. I'm sure people are like, fuck, if this is how he does commentaries, fuck pledging to his Patreon. Fuck that shit. This boring ass guy with his fucking flannel shirt as if he's going to a Nirvana concert later. But it is what it is. But if anyone did enjoy it, you want to feel free to support my Patreon, then the link will be down below. Also have my PayPal if you want to do it directly. Major League, I think it's a fun movie. Oh yeah, thank you once again RB, who requested this. Entertaining, funny comedy from the 80s. Feel-good underdog movie with a great cast. Entertaining dialogue, characters that felt real, they had wonderful chemistry with each other, actors with vigor and energy, some solid laugh out loud moments that wasn't too just go for the cheap gross out humor like a lot of comedies nowadays. Utilize the R rating well with the language. Nice musical score. Has a nice heart on its shoulder, on its sleeve. This is a feel-good underdog movie. It may be predictable, it may be cliche, you may call it comfort food, but I don't think there's anything wrong with comfort food. You know, there's a reason it's called comfort food. And I think that's those various reasons of why it became a surprise hit. Made around 50 million when it came out in 1989, and was praised by critics and IMDb. Did not need a sequel, especially 5 years later. It's like another stakeout with Emilio Estevez and Richard Dreyfuss. I'm like, it's how many years later and now you're doing a sequel? Sadly enough, Stakeout still doesn't have a Blu-ray, but the sequel does. No, explain that to me, feel free. Umpires. Funny, one guy's Bob Hoskins. I'm like, it's probably not the same Bob Hoskins I'm thinking of. The Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bob Hoskins. I'm sure it's a different one. But yeah, Morgan Creech. Which after Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves would have the music from Robin Hood in its main logo, Morgan Creech. Someone did a documentary on Morgan Creech. Kind of an interesting one, where it's like the rise and fall of Morgan Creech Entertainment. I'm not sure if it's still out, but look it up. It's pretty damn interesting. Thought the guy did a good job with it. Pretty much going through each film, how much it made, what its budget was. I like the way it was edited. Good job on that. Filmed with Panavision cameras and lenses. Color by Astral Color Laboratories. Prints by Technicolor. Do they ever do Technicolor nowadays, or not because of the digital? Is that why? I mean, it's probably because of filters and stuff too. I don't know. Films like this, they look like films that to me look better than the almost too clear that it just, I don't know, takes me out. Not all the time, but from time to time with certain movies it does. I know this sounds stupid. But yeah, we're coming to a close. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. Stay tuned for a review of Major League. Thank you once again, RB. Thanks you once again to my Patreons. As of right now, I have about 11 of them. Thank you so much for you guys' support. Take care. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.